Now, also, I just want to say that every single thing that I'm going to talk about is based on my experience, and it's also based on my process of getting the job when I did it a couple of years ago. So if the procedures have changed, please Google it, like, just to say, like, that's how I got the job. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Some of you understood what my previous video is about, some of you didn't. It's okay, we move, we get better. Every single comment and piece of critique and criticism that was given is being taken into account. As long as it didn't feel rude, I'm cool. Like, as soon as I feel like someone is like trying to be shady or it's like a backhanded comment, then I'm like, we don't do that over here. We don't do that over here, honey. We treat people with respect. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment, of course. And please follow me on all of my other social media platforms. Come say hi, say hello, you know, get to know me, get to vibe with me, interact with my content, engage. It's a party over here, child. It is a party. So today's video, we are doing a Mythbusters video. So I'm gonna have quite a lot of these on my channel because I feel like they are so exciting. Remember, Ghostbusters. So this is gonna be Mythbusters, and we will be tackling different topics. Not each week, child, because you know what, that's putting too much pressure on myself. But every time I have a Mythbuster video, just know that I would have asked you like a night before or 2 nights before to leave me a myth you've heard on Instagram, and we will tackle it. So there will be like different fun topics for each thing. So today we are tackling Mythbusters A Hostess. So if this is the video you would love to see, let's get started. So a lot of you know, if not all of you, a lot of you may or may not know that I was an air hostess before I became a social media influencer, digital creator, YouTuber, and entrepreneur. I was a hostess for 3.5 years in Dubai. I was living and working in Dubai, and it was the best thing that has ever happened to me. It was a huge blessing, and it came at the most perfect time. So with that being said, I will not mention the airline that I work for, because in the contract that I signed when I was still working for them, those are one of the things that we were told we're not allowed to do PR on their behalf. They've got people for that because the internet can twist the words. So I will refrain from mentioning any names. I'll try my best to make sure that I make it clear and paint clear pictures, but I'm not mentioning any names. And also, if I don't answer your question, if you drop me a question and I don't answer, it's because of 2 reasons. One, it wasn't a myth. You just asking me something super personal about the whole situation that's directly linked to me that I don't feel comfortable answering. Or 2, legally, I'm not allowed to mention that. Or there's actually a 3, I'm not well informed about that, so I choose not to answer things that I'm not well informed about. Alrighty guys, so I'm just gonna pop up my questions. I'm gonna put my phone on airplane mode because I do not want any interruptions while I am shooting. Okay, so the first myth that is going around is that if you want to be an air hostess, especially if you are South African and you want to go overseas, you have to start local. That is false. 100% false. It's okay, false. Right? So no, you don't have to start local. You can go directly to working overseas. Okay, this is a question, and I think that it's fair that I answer it. How did you become one that traveled internationally from the get-go? I've always heard. So I was at UJ, and then there came a time in my life where the course I was doing was depressing me. I did not like anything about the whole environment. School was just an institution that had always made me feel like I'm not smart, or like I'm incompetent, or I'm not working hard enough, knowing exactly that I am working hard enough. And that's what like sort of made my depression worse. So I just decided to just stop and I was almost at the finish line, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And as I said before, I applied online, and the rest is history. So that's how it happened. So I am gonna focus more on mythbusters than things that are literally about me, because I feel like me telling you the story, I've probably shared the story so many times, so I don't think that's gonna help someone who's watching this trying to apply. So if I skip your question, please don't feel offended, but I'm just trying to answer questions that will help people more than questions that are about me, that are gonna be irrelevant to a person who's actively seeking to work overseas as an air hostess. Do they really choose according to weight, body size, and type? So I'm gonna break this question down into 3. So first of all, with height, I am 1.56, 1.56. That's short, considering the fact that before we always used to believe that air hostesses need to be super tall. So what you do when you get to the open day is they put a marker on the wall, and you're supposed to be able to reach up with one hand and touch it comfortably, right? And then it doesn't matter if they don't measure you according to your height. They just do the reach test. So basically you reach up, and they have to see that you can reach up without it being uncomfortable. So for the reason for that is the hat rack storage compartments. You need to be able to close them and open them without it being a struggle. So one thing that they do advise you, if you're someone that they do want you for the job, but there's only one problem, is that you cannot reach, they advise you to do yoga. So yoga helps with your stretching, so you're able to stretch your body more. So myself, I'm able to stretch my body very well. So the reason why it was very comfortable for me to reach up is because of the way that I stretch. And I mean, they tell you come back after a year, do yoga for a year, and literally when you come back, you're so good. And then they say, okay, you've got the job. So that's the height. In terms of weight, after I had gotten the job, they weighed us, and then they sort of keep a monitor of your weight, and that's just for the uniform. So basically, if your uniform starts to feel a bit snug, and your supervisor or your purser starts to see that, okay, your uniform is becoming a bit sexy, especially because the country that I was living in is a conservative country, it's a Muslim country, you're not supposed to be super sexy or voluptuous, whatever the case may be, then they say, okay, you need to get a bigger uniform. And then if they feel like you're starting to gain even more weight than what they took you as, then they put you on a diet plan, you see a nutrition, and then there's like a program for you to be better. Because the space is so confined in an airplane, they don't want you hitting your hip or whatever the case may be on board, and then coming back and claiming to the company and say that, okay, I've got an onboard injury. And you have to understand that this is a job that requires the safety of people is in your hands. So more than anything, they don't look at your weight, but they look at how healthy and how quick you are and how you can move. Because in an emergency situation, child, you cannot be stuck in between the aisles. You need to be able to act fast and to move, and you need to be able to be like, listen, I'm saving people in here. Someone asked me about my favorite book. Okay, how does one go into air hostessing? Required age group. So to be an air hostess, you have to be 21 and above. That is the rules. You have to be 21 and above. You have to have a matric. You do not, and I'm shouting because I want you guys to hear me. You do not have to have any certificate from the the flight hostess schools or these etiquette schools. No, you do not. Matric, especially for the airline that I was working for, and I've seen other airlines overseas, all they require is a matric. Some other airlines might require you to have your GCAA or your flying licenses done prior to coming to the company, But the airline I was working for, they did all of your licenses for you after training. So you did training and then you acquired your license. So even if you had those licenses, it means nothing to them. They scrap them. They tell you that, great, thank you, that's awesome, but we are going to train you according to our standards and according to GCAA, the way we like it. So that way, as a company, they are also covered, because you won't be coming with tips and tricks from other places. You will make sure that you follow the standards of the airline and GCAA and etc. etc. They just want you. I don't know if that makes sense, but they just want you, and they know what they're looking for, which is another thing. I can't tell you that when you go to the interview, you need to talk like this, you need to walk like this, because they make it clear that, guys, if you don't get chosen, we can't tell you why. If you do get chosen, we also can't tell you why. We know what we're looking for. All we require from you is to just be yourself. So basically, you get the job of, I guess, being yourself, because you don't really know. And it's such a trip, because during the interviews, like, people that you saw that you were confident that would get the job, next thing they would be like off, like they will be sent home, and you'll be like, whoa, if that person is good, what are they looking for? If a person who's so good is going home, like, then what am I? So that's the thing. And I love that, because you don't compare yourself to anyone. There's literally no pressure. You don't feel it any type of way, because it's like all of us are in the job. I know when you reach a certain age, obviously, like, they won't be able to take you. Actually, that is my personal opinion. I don't know if that's the case. If that's the case, but half of the people that I was in training with, so the people that got hired with me, not to say in South Africa, but all over the world, the ones that we arrived to Dubai with, got placed together, my training group, the oldest person there was 30 years old. How long did you take for you to get the job? Did you have any connections? No, I did not have any connections inside. I think living in South Africa is such, it has ruined us all, because in this country, you need to have a connection, you need to pray, you need to bribe someone, you need to do this to get a job, which is sickening, because there are so many people who are not working because of this. But where I was working, you don't know. I had no clue which connections am I going to have in Dubai. Child, no way. Not even Dubai, UAE. Which connections am I going to have in the United Arab Emirates? Anyways, so I didn't have any connections. It took me. So I went online. I remember I was on Google just applying to different airlines. And this was, I applied between January, February, or was it March? I don't even remember. And I only got a response in May. And the response in May was inviting me to an open day. And in the open day, all literally we had to do there was, they asked you a couple of questions like, where do you stay? Sort of looking at you. And then you did the reach test. And if you could reach comfortably, everything was great. Then they gave you a paper. In that paper was that you need to wait for an email that is going to invite you to the assessment day. So that was in May. May, I went to my open day. And then in end of May, I went to my assessment. And so the assessment has 3 rounds. So the first round is like the reach test, and you all reach, and basically all of that, if my memory serves me right. And then from there, people start. So if you don't get a little paper, it means you need to go home. So if you make it to that round and you have to go home, it means you have to wait 6 months before you reapply. So obviously I made it that round. And then the second round, they put you in groups and they ask you a question. They ask you like a discussion. So they tell you guys to just discuss and just talk. And then you're talking, and the recruiter is just watching you guys, doesn't comment, doesn't say anything, doesn't place them. They literally just there to observe. And then after that round, they give you another paper. If you get a paper, then it means that you need to stay. And then it's still 6 months if you don't make it into the second round. And then the third round, child, when you're at the third round, that is the final interview. So if you made it second round, you all sit in a room, and then the recruiter's like, congratulations, guys, you've made it to the final round, which is going to be your final interview. Now, then they tell you pick a date. Within the week, they'll have all of the final interviews. So they tell you within this week, pick your date and pick your time, and then we'll meet you back home. Then you come back for your final interview. Then it's you and this lady who ask you your work experience. I had like such little work experience. Like, I was in school. I think I'd worked at a jewelry store, this other jewelry store, and I think I worked for like 2 weeks, and I left like I was going for lunch, and I never came back. I was like, nah, I can't do this. And I was very honest in my interview. I said I tried to work in retail and it really didn't work for me, but in varsity I was doing like a lot of promotions, so I know how to deal with people. I know how to sell a product to people, you know. And then she was like, have you traveled before? And I guess this is just questions, just like, I'm not saying this is the reason why I got the job, but I'm just taking you guys through the whole process. And then she asked me, have you traveled before? And then I said yes. When I was younger, I had traveled to Thailand and we traveled to Brazil. But I was like 11, 12. And I told her, I was like, I was so young, so I don't know if that really counts. Then she told me, what type of food did you eat there? Did you try the local food? I was like, nah, I didn't really, you know. I think we probably had like KFC, whatever the case may be. And we laughed, and that was like, she's like, oh my god, you can't go to Thailand and eat KFC. And you know, we laughed, you know, it was funny. And then she was like, okay, thank you, you'll hear back from us in exactly 31 days. If you don't hear anything, please try again. Now, if you make it to the final interview and you don't get the job, you have to wait a year before you apply again. Please also note, I'm going to put this disclaimer again. This is according to me when I was still applying in 2014. Maybe the rules have changed, I don't know, but this is back then. She's like, okay, you have to, so she's like, good luck, all the best. Then I remember leaving that interview feeling so sad, like, oh my god, I messed up. Maybe I should have lied. Maybe I should have said, maybe I should have come across more interesting. But it is what it is. And I remember I waited 25 days. Yeah, it was 25 days. And then I got a call that says, congratulations, you got the job. We're going to give you a link to do an aptitude test, and we're going to give a link for you to start all of your medicals. And I was so excited. And then there was a portal. So this portal is called a new joiners portal. So basically, if you're a new joiner, it's what you use to submit all of your medicals, all of the tests, everything that they need for you to get prepared before you leave for Dubai. Copy of your passport, proof of residence, all of that. Your contract is sent through there. And then you have to go do your medicals. You have to go get a dental check. And this is for your medical insurance when you get to Dubai, because they don't want you to have problems with your teeth and then you get there and then you claim from them and say, oh no, I got it when I was working for the company. If you've got any cavities, anything that's not straight, you have to fix it in the country. They need you. Like, if your doctor says there's stuff that needs to be fixed, you have to fix. And then you have to go to a nutritionist. Nutritionist will tell you if you're healthy, if you are if you need to eat, if you need to pick up some weight because your BMI, whatever the case may be. Then if the nutritionist says, okay, you're good to go, everything is fine, BMI, everything, then you have to send that letter. Then you have to go do all your vaccinations, yellow fever, malaria, like every single vaccination you can think of, you have to do that, and you have to get your yellow card because you cannot fly anywhere without your yellow card. So that has to be ready. And then you have to go for tests that test for every single sexually transmitted disease. And this is not for the company, but this is for the UAE. You cannot enter and work in the country. I'm not sure about just entering, but I know that they will not give you residency if you don't take the sexually transmitted tests where they check for syphilis, hepatitis, HIV and AIDS, everything. And then once you cleared for all of that, you send that to the company as well. And then that's the only way the government in the UAE can approve you for residency. To Dubai was in September. That I can never forget that, because that was the best day of my life. It was like the 14th of September. Basically, that is the process of getting the job. So I feel like, oh yeah, that's a mouthful. How did you apply? Google. It wasn't a connection. It wasn't through anybody. No one told me about it. No one told me where to go. I just went on Google and I Googled air hostessing jobs, and I literally applied on every single link I clicked on. I honestly thought that I was like, jobs like here in South Africa were gonna come up. I wanted to work for Mango. I wanted to work for SAA, but by the grace of God, like, jobs in Dubai started coming up, and I started clicking on ads. Like, I clicked on everything, guys. If I tell you, I probably applied everywhere. Like, everywhere I was applying. I was applying to BA. I was applying everywhere. So I clicked on the airline that I was working for. So if you click on the airline that I was working for on, but not on your phone, if you do it on a computer, on the side it will say about us, check-in, and then there's a place that says careers. Then I clicked on that space that says careers, and then it gave you every single career that you can possibly apply for, and I clicked on that and just followed the steps. So I think it's very important to understand, like, if you're hungry for something, you will sit on Google and you will make sure that you find it. Okay, so the next one is, when you get to be an air hostess, must you stay in one place? So for the company that I was working for, our base was Dubai, because all flights left and came back to Dubai, unless there was an exception where we did the 5-day trips. So the 5-day trips, those were Australian trips usually. So we'd leave from Dubai, we would land in Australia, spend a day in Australia, then fly to New Zealand, and then from New Zealand come back to spend a day in New Zealand, come back to Australia, spend a day, and back to Dubai. But you have to be based in Dubai. You can't live in South Africa and work in Dubai. And I'd always get people like, oh, so you stay here in South Africa, you work in between Dubai and South Africa, oh, you fly between Dubai and South. No. I was flying all over the world. There's no thing Uguti just because you are South African, then you're flying from South Africa. I would literally have to request flights to South Africa. Like, it was so unlikely for me to fly to my own country. I was flying everywhere else in the world, and I'm very grateful for that, because the company probably so good. How he said, Kaya Mus, you've lived your whole life here, let's take you around the world, baby, let's show you the world. Someone asked how much get paid. I can't answer that, because like, that's such a personal question, and also like, I don't even know, like, that's not an answer that. But I'm definitely, yeah, it was good. You'll survive. Can you have tattoos? You can absolutely not have tattoos as an air hostess. Wow, you can have tattoos, but they can't be visible, right? Because they do ask you to disclose that, and then they'll check them. If they feel like in your uniform they will show, then they probably won't take you. But people with like lower back tattoos or like tattoos on their thighs, they didn't even disclose, because there is no way that tattoo is gonna show. So yeah, and you have to understand, like, we are covered up to, so from here, so basically the shirts, the uniform, when we got on board, that's when we took off the jacket, it sits there. So all this part shouldn't be any visible tattoos, and here, so the shirt ends there. If you want to wear the shirt only on board, it's fine, but it was always so cold on board, so I always wore a cardigan. So your cardigan ends there. Your watch, you always have to be wearing a watch as an air hostess, because you need to be able to take a person's pulse. You need to know the time in case of an emergency, because that's very important. Someone falls sick in the airplane, when you're putting in the documentation, you need to know what time is it. When anything happens, you always need to be aware of your surroundings and the time, because that will literally save you. And that's between life and death if you have a patient who is sick and you need to take the pulse. So the next question is it a sustainable career? It's definitely a sustainable career. Like, it is so sustainable. It's just that everyone in life has their own goals and plans. Like, I have a lot of my friends who are still working and living there, and for me, I just wanted a bit more stability, and I just didn't like the fact that the country that we lived in as a foreigner, you couldn't own land, you can't own anything. That's reserved for the locals, which is awesome. Like, they make sure that they take care of their people, number one, because that's forever. Like, we are there to work and we can leave at any time. So can you imagine if they put us above their people? So that wouldn't make sense. But it isn't a sustainable career. There are people who've been there for years, and you can definitely end up a purser or even end up in the office, the corporate side of things. Like, there's so many opportunities within the company. You can end up a recruiter, you can end up a trainer. So not everyone just carries on flying. Like, a lot of the people you see internally is like ex-crew, people who decided to apply internally within the job, which I think is amazing. Is it true that they smuggle drugs? That's not true. That is definitely not true, because they did random checks all the time. We had to do drug tests. We had to do, like, our bags go through the x-ray machine just like everyone else. They check our bags. No one cares that you're an air hostess. You are more targeted as an air hostess because they know that people might try and make you carry something, thinking that the same rules don't apply to you, like the customers. The same rules apply to you, even worse. Like, and when I say random checks, like, you'll be minding your business, next thing you're being pulled aside, you going through an x-ray, going through a body machine. Like, no, it's not. If they do, wow, they good. And yeah, that's crazy. Is it hard to stay in a relationship when you're an air hostess? It's not hard at all. Like, it's not hard at all. It's good, because you guys give each other like healthy space. And obviously, like, it's not hard to stay in a relationship in any job. It just depends if both people are ready and willing to be serious about each other. Like, I'm trying to answer the question without implicating myself. Is it hard? No, it's not hard. It's not hard. Was it hard getting into one? Just because you're skeptical of everybody, because you can't trust people, because one minute you're here, next minute you're gone. So it's also like, you don't want to get in a relationship with someone you don't trust. So also, like, I think the process of getting into one is hard, but once you in one and maintaining one is very good, because you've got your man. Like, when you land from a flight, it's either you can take the crew bus or he's waiting for you. Like, you get your text, like, you know what time you are landing, so he knows what time to expect you. Like, he'll send you, like, you'll probably text him or you'll call him before you leave whichever country and say, babe, I'm gonna be landing at this time, Dubai time. And then he's like, okay babe, I'll pick you up, or what do you want me to do? And when you're landing, you'll get a text from your boo that says, baby, I'm outside, or baby, I'm gonna wait for you at your place, or do you want to come straight to me? What do you need? Are you hungry? You know, those type of things. Like, it was cute, because you also look forward to seeing your boyfriend, like, after working very hard. Like, it's very nice to have your partner waiting for you there. But I would say it was nicer if the person was also based in Dubai. Then it was like awesome. But if the person is like working overseas, then obviously you guys will plan your life better. Like, you'll say, okay, my darling, this month I've got a week off. I'm gonna fly to Paris. I'm gonna make Paris as an example. I'm gonna fly to Paris, spend a week there. And also realize, like, for us, flights, we were flying for only 10% of the fee. So that's nothing. Like, we were flying for nothing. We got 90% off. So we could fly all over the world for 90% off. I would say no, it's not hard maintaining. No. Do you have to be fluent in English to be an air hostess? Yes and no. You need to be able to know the important, like, the rules of English. I hope that makes sense. You need to know the grammar, everything. You don't have to, the accent doesn't have to be right. You don't have to get all of the words right, but you need to be able to articulate yourself in a way that the customer can understand you, everyone else can understand you, especially because in case of an emergency. With that being said, so they say your matric exam, what did you take it in? Did you take it in English or did you take it in another language? If you were the people that took it in another language, you had to do a comprehension test. And then in the comprehension test, they will see how well you understand English. Fine. So you have to understand, like, majority of South Africans speak good English, right? The accent, forget about that. No one cares about an accent overseas because everyone has an accent. So that thing here, South Africa people laugh at each other. Someone says, "Oh, I'm so nervous." That shit doesn't fly there. And you have to understand that people from France, people who are Portuguese, in those countries, like, most people speak their home language, so their English will be a bit weird. But as long as they pass the comprehension test and they're able to pass everything else in training, no, yeah, so be able to comprehend what's going on in English. I hope that makes sense. I hope that answers your question. Okay. What age do you think is perfect to be an air hostess? I would say any age, because boxing yourself to the perfect age, you'll never go after anything in life. Like, I can understand with the job though, there might come a time where you be too old, but they don't really specify what age is the limit. So I guess they just look at how healthy you are and how you can do certain tasks, and you get the job. So whenever you can, just apply. Yeah. As long as you're over 21, I don't see what can stop you from getting the job. Like, honestly, like, they also ask you, are you married? Are you single? Do you have a family? Whatever the case may be. And even if all those questions are yes, they ask you, are you comfortable with living overseas? So most people would move and then bring their families over. Then their family would like also apply for a job, and then they'll all live there. Guys, literally, it's like this misconcept, like, as an air hostess, you have to be this young, hot, single person who's just, no, you make any situation work for yourself. But I can understand, because the way movies and reality shows and things make it seem like it's literally painted, it's painted such a weird picture. So I get it. Is it true that your skin has to be clear, no scars, etc.? So no, you don't have to have clear skin. I didn't have clear skin. Personally, for me, when I joined the company, I was in the process of having a horrible breakout. That's actually when I found out that I have eczema. So my whole forehead was full of pimples. No one cared about that. I had the worst acne scars. I went to my training, went to everything, and then in the makeup and beauty training, they tell you this is good for your skin, this is good for da. They also tell you about waxing, because your arms and your legs and everything that has hair always has to be shaved, waxed, lasered, whatever the case may be. It has to be. You can't have hair. They check because they say that for some people they find it disgusting, especially when you're serving people with food and you've got hair. They don't want it. It's not me. I don't make the rules, so please don't come for me. So you have to, so they tell you like the things to use to make sure that your skin doesn't react and you don't get bumps, like tea tree oil. So you go through like a whole beauty and makeup training, which is only about 2 days. But it's very intense, and they teach you about grooming. They teach you how to take care of yourself, your teeth, and then after all of that, I went to a dermatologist that side, because also like climate, I had to factor in climate and all of that. So he gave me medication according to and my skin, my skin was popping. I don't know. When applying, do your pictures need to be taken by an actual camera? I don't know if they have to be, but I know that I did. I took professional, like full body, because you have to send in pictures of yourself. Full body picture, and then half body. What advice would you give a qualified flight attendant struggling to get a job? So the advice that I would give, I would say that take all of that experience that you have as a qualified flight attendant, put it to the side, and start presenting yourself as you. Show who you are, what your interests are. Just be very engaging, because you also have to understand, when you get on board, you have to be two people. You're the person who's in charge of safety and security, which comes first. You need to be able to be quick. If there's someone sick, you need to be there. If there's a problem with the door or passenger, you need to be there. So you need to make sure that you're always alert in terms of safety and security. And then you have to be the face of the company, because obviously you are the reason a person will come back. So you have to make sure that when it comes to customer service, you are engaging, you are polite, you smile, you inviting. So now if you're a robot, it makes it very hard for the customer to gel with you, because you ultimately give the customer its experience. So if a customer asks you for, say now, okay, I'll make an example. If you are serving chicken or beef, yes, we do serve chicken or beef, or chicken or fish, or other things, or breakfast, but I'm just making an example. So if you're serving chicken or beef and you run out of beef and you get to a customer and you say, hi sir, we've ran out of beef, I'm gonna give you chicken. That person is gonna complain, and that memory will always be in their mind. For the rest of their life, they will associate the airline with that experience. People don't remember people. People don't remember you as a person. They remember how you made them feel, right? So you have to, so now, example of a person who's engaging. Hi, sir. And then they say, I don't even know why I'm using sir. Maybe let me use ma'am. Oh, hi ma'am, hi sir, whatever. And then they'll say hi. Then you start by saying, are you enjoying the flight? And then they say, yeah, I'm enjoying the flight, da 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 da. Oh, are you traveling business or pleasure? Then they say, oh, it's pleasure actually. I'm actually going on holiday. Oh, where are you going? Say now they're going to Paris. Oh, is it your first time? Maybe then it's not their first time. No, it's not my first time. I've been there a couple of times. Then, if they say they've been there a couple of times, it means they know the menu. Because you have to understand, the menu is always also designed by what's popular, what people love to eat that side. Say now, what's popular is beef, and you've run out of beef, so now you have to sell the chicken. Then you say, oh sir, since it's not your first time on this route, I know you always choose the beef. How about I interest you into the chicken today? If you don't enjoy the chicken, I'm gonna get you an extra drink on me. The drinks are unlimited. The drinks are free. But it's the way you're selling it. You get what I'm saying? Now you're putting in your personality. Then he's going to be like, oh, I'll hold you up to that. And you'll be like, sir, trust me. You'll enjoy it. Then you give them the chicken. You've actually got yourself out of a situation of telling this person that you ran out of beef. And you've made them happy. They probably already know you've ran out. Because if he flies there frequently, then they know how it works, because they also send the ticket that you might not always get your meal option that you want. Then you go finish up with your service, then you come back, then you ask them, sir, how is the chicken for you? Most people are really polite. Most people, I'm not saying all of them, I'm not saying always gonna be lucky, but most people are very polite because they don't want to disappoint you, and because you've given them such great service. Now they're not gonna want to tell you no, it was whack. They're gonna be like, oh, that was delicious. Then you say, okay, sir, what would you like to have on me? Also, now you see all of this personality comes with training. I've trained. I've worked as an air hostess for a very long time, so I know what I'm doing. But you need to be able to incorporate your personality in everything. Hence, I said in the beginning, in my interview, I said I went to Thailand and I had KFC, and the interviewer was laughing like, how can you have? I was like, girl, I wasn't about to try some stuff I don't know, but because I showed her that I can be engaging, I'm not so much of a robot, and I'm not trying to impress her. I'm also putting an element of myself. I have answered all of your guys' questions, well, majority of them. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the comment section below. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We are on the road to 10K. I will see you guys next time. Mwah!